going to start things off with Joel Smith and John DePork. Joel Smith. Zap Strap Racing wants to thank Gibson's Racing Transmissions for the help with the Pontiac. That's right, that's not a Nova in the left lane. It's a Pontiac Ventura. John DePork in the right lane, 77 Camaro. Former champ. So struggling a little bit here on the opening round of time trials. Joel Smith looked good, 10:15. 132 miles an hour. Trouble in the left lane. So he's not yet in the computer, and my brain is going blank. Wally, who's in the left lane? The Buick that Jason Line either owns or used to own. Well, between the two of us, we both suck. Alf Weeb, that's who it is. So trouble for him. Al Lougheed made a nice pass in the right lane, though. 11:76. No, he was off the gas, too, at just 83 miles an hour. So two more. Dan Gray in the right lane. Will Zorich in the left lane. Zorich in his 1962 409 powered Chevy Impala. Well, it's a Bel Air, actually. It's always good to have friends. I was struggling to remember Al's name. I got a text instantly. Someone with a way better memory than mine. Will Zorich goes exactly 11 seconds. 122 miles an hour down the TCS side of the racetrack. Dan Gray in the Ford pickup got off to a little bit of an early start. Then 11:66 at 115. That's going to bring up Rich Graves and Jamie Roth. Jamie Roth, the champ. Over there in the right lane, Shit Kicker Racing. Rich Graves was absolutely awesome on the starting line, 007. Jamie Roth was a little on the snoozy side, but he made up ground pretty quick. Goes 9:95 at 132 miles an hour. Make the call now for the Canada West Door Slammers. This is your call to the staging lanes. We are going to put you in 3, 4, 5, and 6. Canada West Door Slammers, this is your call to the lanes. Canada West Door Slammers, come on down to 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to start packing you into 4 lanes this year. A little different than what you're used to. The reality is you are too large of a class to fit in 2 lanes, so the decision has been made. We're going to be calling you to 4 lanes moving forward. So once again, Canada West Door Slammers, come on down to lanes 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh yeah, baby. Love watching that car go down the track. How about 862, 155 miles an hour with license plates? So again, it's going to be Joel Smith and Rich Graves. Joel Smith in the left lane, Rich Graves in the right. Final round of time trials. BC Super Shifters Association. So Joel Smith turns a little red, then goes 10:09, 133 miles an hour. Rich Graves, 11:56 at 118. Now Grant Clone and Will Zorick. Couple of very cool cars. Look for the big wheels up launch in the left lane. Nice. Will Zorick, 11:01 at 123. Grant Clone goes 8:56 at $1.55. Now Jamie Roth and Alf Reed. Neither of them spectacular on the starting line, to say the least. Jamie Roth gets there first. How about 994, 135 miles an hour. Alf Weeb, 10:50 at 129. Now Al Lougheed and Keith Winterbottom. So Keith Winterbottom, how about 924, 151 miles an hour. Al Lougheed in the Little Falcon, 953, 141. So I wasn't sure if we were going to see Scott Winterbottom back up here. Apparently he's fixed his brakes. Either that or he's cut a hole in the floor and he's going to put his heel on the ground. Flintstone style. Dan Gray in the pickup truck. Scott Winterbottom, 918, 140 miles an hour.
Taking on that flat black Camaro over there in the right lane. And Rich leading first, dialed in with 11:57. Right lane dialed in with an 8:52. Chasing him now, taking the win, going 8:67 on the 52. Rich Graves going 11:91 on the 57. Forgive me, I do not have the name of the gentleman that was in the right lane, as he is new to us here, but oh, sorry, oh, a disaster up here. He went 002 on the tree. So good job. Bringing up Grant Clone in the 67 fair lane, and Keith Winterbottom. Grant hanging the tires out there past the 60-foot. Big starting line advantage here for one of the drivers. And that was Grant. Grant going 020 on the tree to Keith Winterbottom's 191. So Grant moving on to the next round, going 8:59 on the 8:54. Which will move us into our next pairing here. We got Al Lougheed in the left lane in the 63 Falcon, dialed into the 945. Taking on another gentleman here in the right lane. I do not have his info up on the computer. He's dialed in with the 1048. It's Alf Wheat. Alf lead in the right lane. And Alf going red. But Al Lohi going trip zip with a 2. Al trip zip with a 2 on the tree, taking the win, going 9:53 on the 45, but he won it on the tree because Alf Weeb going 007 red. Al Lohi going trip zip with a 2 to the green. Moving on to the second round. We got Will Zorick in the 62 Chevy taking on Jamie Roth in the 64 Comet. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits. Super Pro, Rad Torque System Super Pro. We need you down to the staging lanes. Rad Torque System Super Pro, we're calling you down to the staging lanes. And our Stay Tuned Automotive Junior categories, you are on a standby. That's the junior classes, you are on a standby. So Will Zorick taking the win, going 11:04 on the 11:01, taking out Jamie Roth. Jamie going 9:99 on the 9:94. Taking us into the next pairing here, Joel Smith in the 71 Pontiac, Zapstrap Racing and Gibson Racing Transmissions, taking on Dan Gray in the 83 Ford pickup. Not your everyday race car over there in the right lane, but that thing is pretty cool. And as you probably assumed by the name of the class, it is a stick shift truck. So he is grabbing the gears, going down track in that thing. And Dan Gray, unfortunately, doesn't get it done, going 11:69 on 11:55. Joel Smith moving on to the next round with a 10:17 on the 10:15. And unfortunately, John DePork not able to make the call here, taking on Scott Winterbottom. Scott had a little bit of a mishap earlier today, making it into the sand trap. Had some brake issues, but got her all fixed up, and he's back out here for first round, and he's going to move on to the second round because John DePork not able to make the call here for the first round. So Scott Winterbottom getting a comp single, taking the win, moving on, going 9:29 on the 9:29. So Grant Clone in the 67 Fairlane, taking on Will Zorick in the 62 Chevy. Two beautiful cars here. Grant likes to hang the wheels and pull a pretty big wheelie out there, so if you're not watching, I recommend watching. Grant dialed in with an 8:55, Will Zorick with an 11:01. So Grant's gonna have to sit around for about 2.5 seconds. My math is bad. That's why I am here working at a racetrack, folks. Grant Clone going on to the next round, taking down Will Zorick. Grant with an 8:58 on the 8:55. Will Zorick with 11:18 on the 11:01. Will was red on the tree, 002. And in the win over Grant, which will bring up our next pair here in BC Super Shifters. Joel Smith in the 71 Pontiac, taking on, unfortunately, the gentleman, I do not know his name still, in the flat black Camaro there in the right lane. That would be Keith Armstrong. I have been informed Keith Armstrong in the right lane there. So Joel Smith taking on Keith Armstrong. And our starting line staff here just taking a quick look, making sure Joel's not dropping any fluids there. And in the battle of the red lights, Joel Smith moving on to the next round. Joel Smith goes 002 red, but Armstrong going 133 red. So Joel Smith moving on to the next round, getting the win, going to 10-11 on the 10-14. But as I said, did not matter in the double red light fest. Joel Smith was the least of the worst. So Al Lougheed in the 63 Falcon, taking on Scott Winterbottom. Al with a 950 on the board, Scott with a 928. And we are making a final call out there for Lordco Super Combo. This is your final call for Lordco Super Combo. If you're not here, we're going to start running without you.
Semi-final round. Grant Clone with, well, what we can call a victory wheelie. Scott Winterbottom turned it red by 47, so Grant's win light came on instantly. But he yarded the front wheels out past the 60-foot mark. Sounds good. And now Joel Smith going to the final round. Gets the bye here in the semis. 10-10 the prediction. One of the best things about a bye run in Super Shifters is you get a really good listen to the car rolling through the gears. So the dial was 10-10, went 10-11, one above, nicely done. Joel Smith will be coming back for the final round. Now, Super Shifter, final round. It's Joel Smith and it's Grant Clone. Very cool final round pairing. Now, I'll tell you this. Anytime I get to see Grant's car go down the track, that's pretty cool. So Joel Smith in the right lane dialed 1009. Grant Clone over here in the left dialed 857. We're going to trigger the 60-foot clock with the rear wheels. Oh yeah, baby. Joel Smith runs out of gas or something. Tough break for him. Clone goes 862 on the 857 dial to win in Super Shifters action here today.